Why aren't you an atheist? I wanted to do this video because my position on theism is very near and dear to my heart. I'm very proud of it, and I want to talk about it. I want to help you understand it, if you don't already. This video is directed more at the Christian community, mostly because Christianity is the most predominant religion, the most relevant, particularly here in America. But it really does apply to all religions. Here's my list. 7 reasons that you probably aren't an atheist if you're not. They are indoctrination into religion, indoctrination into anti-atheism or against atheists, family and peer pressure, fear of death and hell, wishful thinking, fear of independence, freedom, responsibility, blah blah blah, and a lack of basic skills in logical reasoning. It could be one or several or all of these things, but this is a list I found from an article. I'm going to put a link in the description, but I'd like to go over them a little bit. Indoctrination, a lot of it just depends on what region you live in and who your parents are. Literally, if you had different parents, you would belong to a different religion. Think about that. Is it really your religion that's important to you, or is it just by chance that you even have that religion? Like, if my parents were different, I could be religious. Thank you, Mom and Dad. And indoctrination is more than that, though. It's an active effort to... A lot of it is to educate you, but some of it even goes beyond a simple education. They install fear and love, which are huge manipulation tools, especially by authority figures. You use them in the right combination. It's very powerful, and the Christian church is very good at it. They've been doing this type of brainwashing for years, and they haven't stopped. But part of this is also indoctrination against atheists, and this is number 2. There are a lot of misconceptions about atheism that are taught by the church. I've listed them in my other video, Atheism 101, and just in general, if you want to learn about someone else's beliefs, go to that person or a person of that belief to find out about it, just as a general rule. Otherwise, you might get some misinformation, whether it's intentional or not. Rule number 3, well, not rule, reason number 3 that you probably aren't an atheist is you're afraid of the reaction of family and friends, particularly if you're in like the Bible Belt or somewhere really in a really deep religious community. A lot of people will be atheists and they won't even tell anyone, and that includes like ministers. It's kind of sad, but it happens to a lot of people, and I would just suggest talking to someone outside of that community. They're easy to find on the internet, and hopefully they can help you more than I can. And also to the family and friends that are putting on that peer pressure, stop doing that. Please try to be tolerant of the people that you care about, at least. It'll make their lives a lot easier. I think number 4 is the biggest one. I know people personally, maybe that's why I think this, but I know people personally who literally the only reason they believe anything that's in the Bible, or could apply to other religions, but the only reason they believe any of it is because they're afraid of what will happen if they don't follow it. What if it's true? It's like they have this little voice in the back of their head, but what if it is true? Like, you'll be tortured forever. That is a looming, very real threat to someone who has been taught that it's a looming real threat. And all I can say is that do your best to get over that fear. Fear isn't healthy. Even I think even in religions, they recognize a difference between a healthy and an unhealthy fear of hell. And the original, I have death crossed out there, because the original article says fear of death, because a lot of people are also afraid of life not having meaning, and just simply ceasing to exist when you die is also scary. Even if you won't be eternally tortured, you'll just be gone, and that's not really awesome either. I would just try and base your beliefs on what is actually real. Like, I'm going to believe that this is real because I actually think that it's real, not because I'm afraid of what will happen if it's not real. Number 5, wishful thinking kind of goes along with that, except in the more positive sense. Like, wouldn't it be great if we could get into heaven? If I could see my loved ones again? My mother thinks she's going to see our dog again. That's kind of weird, but these things give people hope, and they're a very good coping mechanism. You'll notice religious people have a lot of better methods for coping. A lot of people will say, my religion completely turned my life around. That's because it's a coping mechanism. It gives you false hope is because it's better than no hope. And like I said before, I want my beliefs, and I think we should all want this, but I want my beliefs my beliefs about reality to align with what is actually real. If mermaids aren't real, I don't want to believe that they're real. I don't want to be wrong, in a sense. I want to be as accurate as I possibly can, and that doesn't always mean being as happy as I possibly can. If that means there's no meaning to life, then there's no meaning to life, and that's the way it is, and you have to deal with that. And I think that's a great lead-in to number 6. Dealing with that is also scary. You're independent now. There's no one controlling the events in your life except for your choices. That can be scary. If you start to lose that sense that there is a plan and there is a reason, then all of a sudden you're faced with a lot more real challenges, and it's scary, and that's why a lot of people just try to avoid thinking about it. I hate avoidance, but people do it for these reasons. And then number 7 isn't necessarily the fault. Okay, none of these are really the fault of a religious person, but some people are just ignorant about basic analytical thinking, critical thinking, logical reasoning. There's so many different ways to go about it, but if you think that this is a weak area for you, I would suggest looking into it. I mean, you really want to be able to make the best decisions in your life, and it applies to every aspect of your life, not everything except religion. So ignorance here is not used as an insulting term. It simply means lack of knowledge, and knowledge is so powerful, so I try and get as much knowledge as you can.